Oh, good evening, my friends. What is going on? It is 7:35 here in Northeast Florida. And I'm going to be hanging out with you guys for about an hour. Going to be a nice, relaxing, little low-key. What is the day? What day is it even? Wednesday? Wednesday evening live stream. Welcome, one and all. The topic of conversation is Mandalorian Season 3, but as you all know, we never stay on topic, man. Those topics are meaningless. Trying to adhere to a topic we designate at the tip top of the stream. Completely pointless. We're all over the place, by design, as it should be. Welcome, one and all. I got my coffee, I got my water, I got my whiskey, and I don't have to work tomorrow. Cheers. Welcome, guys. So, yeah, Mandalorian Season 3, Hopes and Fears, as the title suggests. I want to hear what you guys are hoping for, what you guys are kind of fearful of. I've kind of talked about my opinion of the Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 1 so frequently on this channel. Most of you guys know what I'm kind of looking for with the show, what I loved about the first season, what kind of left me behind with the second season. So we'll get into all that, but I'm really curious what you guys are thinking. So, welcome. Indeed, Chris. Riding the cosmos. Swish, Fish, and Oscar, thank you guys. Oh, Caleb as well. Caleb, Swish, and Oscar, thank you guys so much. Caleb says, 40 months as a member. Wow, that is crazy. That is insane, Caleb. That we've been sharing this same little digital corner, this little digital cul-de-sac together for 40 months. It's mind-blowing. As you know, I greatly appreciate the hell out of that support over the past 40 months. That does not make sense to me. 40 months? Dude. Cheers. I don't know if you can hear it. I decided not to have it neat tonight. Have it on the rocks. As we hang out. But cheers, man. Clink, clink, clink. I appreciate the 40 months of support. And I appreciate the chit-chatting, man. Swish Fish says, Metroid Prime on Switch as of today, and a whole bunch of gibberish. If you haven't played it, play it. One of the best games ever made. Also, hi, Greedo. Smiley face. Hey, right back at you. Yeah, I actually, as I was waiting for the live stream to start, I saw your super chat. And I've never played it, first of all. I didn't realize that it was only released on the GameCube. I never owned a GameCube back in the day. Never owned a GameCube. It's the only Nintendo console I've never owned. Which is kind of crazy when I think about it. It's the only Nintendo console I've never owned. I don't know why I didn't. Let's see. When did the GameCube come out? The GameCube came out in North America in 2001. So yeah, I was just like knee deep in playing PC games at the time. When did the Dreamcast come out? Let's see. Sega Dreamcast. 98. Okay. So, 99 in North America. I had a Dreamcast. But yeah, in 2001, the only thing that I was doing was playing like Counter-Strike or Ultima Online. And I didn't play any console games. Like literally, wow, I never really thought of this, but I didn't own a console from the Dreamcast in 99 until the Xbox 360. I think I got my Xbox 360 in like 2006. It came out earlier than that, right? Xbox 360, 2005. So I got mine. Actually, I got it in 2007 because I got it the same year that I enlisted in the Navy. So 2007. So from 99 until 2007, I never had a console. Never owned a new console for almost 10 years. That's really just because I was only playing PC games. But I have a Switch, so maybe I'll pick up Metroid Prime on the Switch. That'd be fun. Never played it. I honestly don't know if I've ever played a Metroid game. Oh, yes, I take that back. Let me see. The first Metroid game. First Metroid game. We're already not on topic of conversation, and I love it. Metroid games. I know I've played one, like a side scroller, and I was... Okay, Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. Yep, that's the one. That's the only the Metroid game I've ever played. I bet if I dug around in my bin of games, it might be in there. Actually, I don't know if I ever owned it. It might have just been a rental. One of those rental games that I used to rent all the time for whatever reason. So, yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's a franchise I know nothing about, Swish. But maybe I'll pick it up. Anyway, I appreciate that support this evening. Oscar Rodriguez says, I love Star Wars Visions as going global with Season 2. Global? So, was Star Wars Visions only in North America? Was I not aware of that? Star Wars Visions. Star Wars Visions created for American streaming service Disney Plus. Is Disney Plus not rolled out worldwide yet? Well, that's a bummer. If that's the case. Huh. Well, yeah. I mean, Oscar, you're bringing something. I'm reading about it right now. You're bringing something new to my attention. I was not aware of. He means season 1 was just anime, Japanese. Oh, I see. As you were posting that, Lachlan, I was reading a second volume featuring shorts from animation studios from Spain, Ireland, Chile, United Kingdom, South Korea, France, India, Japan, United States, and South Africa. Ah, that's cool, man. Oh, I dig that. A lot of different styles, a lot of different cultures getting in there. I love that. I love that, Oscar. Oh, how cool. Oh, one sec.
About a Mandalorian. We'll get all into that Mandalorian lore and I'll get David. Years ago, the mighty Mandalorian Baba Dabba took the dark side.
Vince. Cheers, my friend. Cheers, my friend. Give me 1 sec, man. I appreciate it. That's really cool. I love that, Oscar. I love that. It's not just different animation styles. It's different, cultures, different influences getting in the mix. That that's really cool. I dig it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I never finished the first season of Visions. For whatever reason, I just didn't get around. Dude, you guys know me. I haven't watched any of Bad Batch, not even season 1. I haven't even finished Rebels. I'm not a very prolific Star Wars fan. I like live action and movies. And for whatever reason, cartoons, I have a hell of a time getting into. I don't know why. That's just my brain, I suppose. But that's a really cool idea. Anyway, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, Mr. Oscar. And Lachlan Morris, thank you so much as well. Lachlan says, finally got around to downloading 4K 77. Hell yeah. Can't wait to watch. That's good. I'm excited for you, So for those of you, let me give this little spiel, Lachlan. For those of you who have not watched my channel very much, and maybe you haven't heard me talk about this, I made a few videos on this topic, but 4K 77 is like the most authentic original version of Star Wars that you can get at home. Some folks found an original film print of Star Wars, the first Star Wars. They scanned it in 4K resolution. They cleaned it up and they made it, it looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So when you watch that movie, when you watch 4K 77 on your big ass 4K TV screen with the surround sound, you're experiencing what the folks in 1977 experienced. Probably in a better quality, honestly. So yeah, I'm glad you were able to get that, man. I'm glad you were able to get that. I'm assuming you torrented it or whatnot, but it's interesting. I've heard a lot of people, Lackland, say that they prefer Harmy's Despecialized, and I get that because Harmy's Despecialized is a little closer to maybe modern. Well, I mean, it's more familiar, right? Because he takes things from the Blu-rays, from the Z Plus version, from these various versions that are a little more new and polished looking, and it feels a little familiar, right? 4K 77 has a more tan tone to everything, as the original film did. So there's parts where it's a little grainy and a little harsh. The lighting is harsh, especially out in the desert. But I love it. I love it because it's an encapsulation. It's a time capsule of what the film looked like back then. And I always prefer that. You know, you guys know me. I'm HelloGreedo. I'm the guy who rants and raves about the special editions since 2011 on the internet. So, yeah, exactly. Lackland, you nailed it on the head. You said, I understand that little to no DNR with Harmy looks very modern. That's a good way to put it. Looks very modern. Absolutely. Yep, you nailed it. Said it better than I did, and it took you one sentence, and it took me 3 minutes. If you boil down these hour streams, I probably only say 2 minutes of importance. Most of the other nonsense, the other 58 minutes is just just me bullshitting. Anyway, cheers, man. I appreciate that. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think. It's the only way I've watched Star Wars for a couple years now. At least since I downloaded, probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whenever it came out. Something like that. Anyway. Vince, thank you so much for the generous super chat and channel support this evening. Vince says, I fear the Mandalorian. About a Mandalorian, we'll get all into that Mandalorian lore, and I'll get Manda bored. Years ago, the mighty Mandalorian Babada took the Darksaber and blah blah blah. Manda snores. You know, I'm kind of with you there, man. Like, so hear me out. We know about Mandalorian lore. We've experienced it in the Clone Wars. You know, it's nothing new. It's nothing new to us, to me. We're familiar, you know. So for season 3 of The Mandalorian, and it appears as doing this, is to dive into that Mandalorian lore, go back to Mandalorian and all that stuff. It's not the direction that I was hoping the show would go into. Not that I want to dictate what it does, obviously. The creator's got to create what they want to create, but all that stuff, you know, we've seen it before, we've heard it before, and it's not all that interesting to me. Mandalorians, they've never been, even back in the day, they were never all that interesting to me. Just because I've always viewed them as kind of, especially back in the day, kind of like generic sci-fi warriors. Like, you could put the Mandalorians in any other sci-fi franchise and they would fit in fine. It doesn't stick out as Star Wars to me. It just feels, they feel like generic science fiction warriors, and that's why they've always been uninteresting to me. Cool, you got to defeat the person in combat, and then you get the Darksaber, and blah, blah, blah. It's always felt so generic and mulched over and done before that it's weird that something like that, something so generic, has been adopted by Star Wars. It's always, but before this show, even before I ever watched the Clone Wars, even Mandalorians have always felt like that generic sci-fi warrior shit to me. So that's kind of why it's like, yeah, we've heard the lore. We've seen all that stuff before. We've seen Mandalore. We've seen the Civil War. We've seen the tug of power. I don't want them to revisit that, you know. I hope it doesn't play a large role in season 3, but it appears that it will. I don't know. But anyway, I'm with you, Vince. So I'm holding out hope that it's not going to be all that, you know. But Mandalorians are just an excuse to have a clan of Boba Fett's. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Like, this individual, you know, growing up, when Boba Fett first appeared, you know, we didn't have all this Fett lore, this Fett, these Fett stories. We, you know, especially right when he kind of popped on stage, and for a long time, you know, just kind of saw him as this guy who kind of assembled his own armor and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden there's a huge lore about Mandalorians and everybody has this armor. I don't know. It's always felt like generic sci-fi warrior shit, and it's never been that interesting to me. Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate world building. I just get bored connecting dots. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of this stuff feels like a connect the dots, right? And that's not what I'm really looking for. Yeah. That's why the first season of The Mandalorian appealed to me so much, you know. It was new and fresh. It wasn't bogged down in the familiar. And then season 2 kind of took it in a different direction, and we saw so many familiar faces, and, you know, the reintroduction of Mandalore and Mandalorians and all that stuff. And I understand that the show is called The Mandalorian, but that doesn't mean we need to mulch over things that we've already mulched over. It's cool because he's the Mandalorian. I like it when he's a fish out of water, you know. And when you put him back in the water with other Mandalorians in stories and lore that we're already familiar with, meh. I don't know. Yeah. Vince, Vince, man, we just see eye to eye. No, rant on, brother, rant on. Vince says Luke and Vader's final scenes are great because it's a story of a son saving his father, not because it's the balancing of the Force and the chosen one. Blah, blah, I don't care. Are we the same Star Wars fan, Vince? That requires a screenshot and a Twitter post, my friend. Let me save that. Let me screenshot that. I love that. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. Caleb Kim, thank you so much for the channel support as well. Caleb said, let me save this really fast before I forget. I'm excited to see what the Twitterverse has to say about this. Cool. Caleb says, heard the new Metallica, excited for 72 sorry guys, 72 seasons. Dude, I have not actually gotten around to listen to it. I have not gotten around to listening to the new single or anything like that. I completely forgot, honestly. A band that I really like, or a musician that I've been following since I was like 16, actually, since 1999, really. He was in a band called American Football. Then he had a solo project called Owen. He's been a part of a lot of different bands. His name is Mike Kinsella. He just came out with a few songs that he did with his cousin, so I've been following that. I haven't gotten around to checking out Metallica. I'm going to keep this up. I didn't realize this was the name of their new album. No, I'm going to keep this up, Caleb. And then after the stream, I'm going to add their new single or whatever new songs they have to my running playlist. And then I will be able to run on Friday. And I will start the run off with new Metallica. I have a couple Metallica songs on my running playlist. A lot of them are from... I think I talked about this recently with you, man. A lot of them are from... not Saint Anger. From... Death Magnet? No. From Hardwired to Self-Destruct. There's a couple songs. There's a couple songs on that album that are really fast and fun to run to, like Moth into a Flame. That's a really fun song to run to. And even Hardwired is fun to run to. But yeah. Anyway, cheers, Caleb. I'm going to keep this up and then remember to toss it on my Spotify run playlist. Hell yeah. I've never seen Metallica live. I've never seen American football live, Ivan. But I have seen Owen live a couple times. Mike Kinsella, his solo project. He's from American football, but no, never seen American football live. One day. Anyway. Oscar Rodriguez and Nathan Pelka, thank you guys so much for the channel support this evening. Oscar says, to me, the current EU can do what it wants. Like Sam Gavin said, I can pick and choose my own canon, but the next movies have to push Star Wars forward. Yeah, I'm with you. I've never taken canon all that serious. I mean, it's fun to kind of know the history of things, know the backstory, know the connections, know the who, where, why, when, all that kind of shit. It's fun. It adds a layer. I get it why people are bogged down in it. I understand why people get so bogged down and deep into the lore and the canon and the connections. I get it. But for me, if I want to ignore certain aspects just because it seems goofy or silly to me, that's fine. That's my as Britney Spears would say, that's my prerogative. I don't even know if that's the correct usage of that word. It just sounded good in the moment. But yeah, it can do whatever it wants, right, Oscar? I'm with you. It can add, subtract, gloss over, and I'm completely fine with that. And if there's aspects that I dislike, it takes no effort to just be like, meh, whatever, not for me, move on, gloss over, But I'm with you. The movies, that's the heart and soul of everything Star Wars for me. The movies. And the movies are the things that, as you put it, have to push the franchise forward. Whatever that means. New directions, new challenges, new stories, new characters, new situations. It has to push forward. It can't solely rely on the past, because if you're only relying on the past, then that's when a franchise, in my opinion, stagnates, gets boring. But yeah. Anyway, Oscar, cheers, man. I greatly appreciate that. I'm actually reading a Star Wars book right now, slowly. Because every time and this isn't the fault of the book. The book's great so far. I'm like 16% through it, according to my Kindle. It's Thrawn Alliances, I think it's called. It's the second Thrawn book in the latest Thrawn trilogy thing. But But every time I lay down to read it, I'm so tired, and I read like 2 pages, and I just fall asleep, and I wake up with my Kindle on my chest. But it's no fault of the book. The books are really great. It's the fault of being a sleepy boy. Nathan Pelka and Sapity, thank you guys so much. Nathan says, my girlfriend just finished the main saga for the first time in her life with me. Her favorite is The Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was really interesting. Oh, that is interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. What did she go into further detail as to why? Because that is interesting, because as somebody who, you know, I've been a Star Wars fan since I wore diapers, you know. I'm 36 years old right now, and there's not a memory that I have in my life where Star Wars wasn't already in my life, right? Star Wars has been in my life since I was able to create and remember memories. And for somebody like me, The Rise of Skywalker is one of my least favorite movies of all time. And it's not because of any like lore connections or things like that. It's not because, you know, it didn't fit with canon. I don't even know, whatever. I just didn't like it as a movie, you know. I mean, yeah, there's the goofy things that I feel like really brought it down for me, like Palpatine obviously being back, but that's very interesting that she just finished the saga, the films, for the first time, and her favorite one was The Rise of Skywalker. Nathan just said she liked Rey because she liked Rey being related to Palpatine and her turning against that heritage. Also, she really liked the Rey and Kylo dynamic. Yes, okay. So, despite me not liking Palpatine being back, I still like that through line of her turning her back on, as you said, as she said, actually, turning her back on that heritage, that lineage. I like that. I do like that, despite really not hating even Palpatine being back. I do like the idea of found family. I do like the idea of kind of adopting the Skywalker name. I do like that. And one of the aspects of that movie that I liked was Rey and Kylo's relationship. I liked that as well. So yeah, there's certain aspects of the movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, but overall, I don't really have much of a desire to watch it again until my daughter wants to watch all the Star Wars movies. You know, I don't really have a desire to ever watch it until that moment. You know. But yeah. Anyway, Nathan, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway. Cheers, man. Sapity and Maxton, thank you so much. Sapity says, interested to see the views of Mandalorian culture between the armor, Bo-Katan, and how it affects Din's path. We'll watch with the Mando bucket on and mayhem on full volume in the background. There you go. That would be so uncomfortable. I've done that before, worn my Stormtrooper helmet on live streams and shit like that for like a couple hours. I think I've only done that twice in this channel's history. Like gone live on a live stream with a webcam and worn my helmet like live. Wearing it for that long is pretty miserable, especially talking in it. So I wouldn't suggest wearing your... I know you're being facetious, but I would not suggest wearing your helmet and watching a show. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, at the top of this stream, me and Vince were kind of talking about how we don't really care for the Mandalorian stuff. You know, I don't want to speak for Vince, but for me, they've always felt like just generic sci-fi warriors. They just, you put them in any other big franchise and they would fit just fine. They don't feel overtly Star Wars. They just, again, they feel like just generic shit to me. But if we are going to get another dose of Mandalorian lore and stories that we've basically seen before, it will be interesting to see the variations, the cultural differences, kind of play a role at tugging Din towards what path he's going to go down. And if I had to guess, he will reject the obvious decision, like the paths that are laid out for him. He'll choose his own path. I don't think he's one for rigid ideology. And maybe that will be the moral of the story. Maybe I'm wrong, probably, but it will be interesting to see how those characters, that dynamic, those different cultural views of the same culture will kind of influence his decision making, you know. So despite not being very excited to see all the Mandalorian stuff, because again, we've seen it before and it's nothing really new, and Mandalorian stuff has always been kind of generic to me, and honestly boring. There's certain aspects of it that will be interesting just because we have this character that's gonna, you know, have these choices to make. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Sapity says, your Stormtrooper bucket is abs plastic, right, Greedo? That is uncomfortable enough. My Manta helmet is 3D printed, so it'll be a bit more heavy with micro binoculars, etc. Yes, it's abs. But yeah, it's not that it's heavy or anything like that. The helmet it's actually pretty comfortable. The longest that I've ever worn it, Sapity, the longest that I've ever worn my Stormtrooper helmet was about 5 hours. I did not take this thing off for 5 hours, and it was at it was a really good event, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically put on by a children's hospital, and it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a wonderland. So they took this building and they turned the building into, I mean, it looked like Disney World, man. The inside of it was like, they had a whole section of like Alice in Wonderland, and they built like a forest, and it was just magical. And they had different sections, and like, it's this big ass like, oh, one sec.
It's been a while. Hope all is well. I'm hoping Mando S3 doesn't double down on cameos like Mando S2 did, but given this is the Mandoverse, I do expect a couple to pop up, most notably Sabine Wren.
What's up, Nick? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for the generous super chat and channel support this evening. Give me one sec. So, the longest was 5 hours, and it was at that kids event, and I can't even describe how cool the inside of this building was. And what it was every kid had, like, some of them were terminal, some of them had debilitating diseases, and stuff like that. And they would drive every single kid. I think there was like 20 or 30 kids. Every kid got brought up in like a car of their choosing. So like a kid would drive up in a stretch limo. A kid would drive up in a convertible. You know, they would drive up every like 15 minutes by themselves, and they would get out, and there would be this red carpet, and it was like me and some other stormtroopers, and it was like Anna and Elsa from Frozen, and it was just like a bunch of characters lining this red carpet cheering, and balloons were everywhere, and streamers, and like music was playing. There was a DJ, and these kids would get out of the car, walk this red carpet, and go into this wondrous building full of fun and arts and crafts and shows and shit. And for that event, I wore my helmet for 5 hours, and I don't remember it being that uncomfortable. I think it was just the situation, you know. But yeah, if you want to wear your helmet watching Mando, more power to you. My snowtrooper outfit is abs as well. Quite light, but generates tons of heat. Using dual sets of fans, one in the chest to carry air into the helmet, and one set inside. I didn't know you had this. And one set inside the helmet to spread the air. Interesting. I did not know you had that. I've never really had an issue with my armor being super hot. I think it's because, you know, underneath now with the snowtrooper, obviously it's way hotter. You're wearing fabric. You're wearing way more. It's just way more stuff. For my stormtrooper armor, the plastic is just kind of, it's there. It's just hanging off of me. It's bolted it, or it's buckled in. It's tight. But I'm wearing just like Under Armour. I'm wearing like dry, what's the fabric called? Like dry wick material, Under Armour, under my stormtrooper armor. So I know I've never really been too hot in the armor, even in the dead of the summer. It sucks in the winter because you're just wearing that Under Armour, that thin layer of dry wick material under your stormtrooper armor, and it gets cold, man. It gets cold, but yeah. Anyway. Maxton, Jar Jar Binks, Mr. Nick, and Jay Owens, thank you guys so much for the channel support. Maxton says, hoping Max Rebo shows up in season 3. Didn't he bloated it up? Didn't he bloated it up? Wasn't he in the wasn't he in the what is that casino called? I'm trying to. I thought he. Okay, Book of Boba Fett. Star Wars fans are in trouble. The Sanctuary. That's what it's called. Exploded once again. We had to know, is Max Rebo safe? He wasn't shown in the building when it blew up. Okay, Maxton. Max Rebo is going to be one of those characters that just survives everything. Max Rebo is never going to die. Max Rebo is going to be around forever in Star Wars. Honestly, I kind of forgot that he was in there. People are saying that he survived. That's how it is in Star Wars, right? That's how it is in Star Wars. If there's not a body, everybody assumes they're alive, or the story assumes they're alive. That's why people always rant and rave about Mace Windu coming back. He just fell out of a window. What if Mace Windu came back? Wouldn't that be crazy? Hey, what if Mace Windu came back? Mace Windu could come back. He's fucking dead. Not every character needs to come back. Maybe Max Rebo does. It has been confirmed that Tatooine will be season 3, so here's hoping. There you go. We got a Max Rebo fan. Oh, is that Max Rebo in your... Wait, is that? Hold on. That is Max Rebo in your... as your avatar. Maxton doing it big. Maxton, the Max Rebo fan. Hey, if he comes back for season 3, Max, I will I'll be thinking of you for sure. If he pops up for season 3, I will you will instantly pop into my brain for sure. But I appreciate that, Maxon. Cheers, man. Jar Jar Binks, thank you. I've had a cough for a couple days, so I apologize. Jar Jar says, Have you watched Last of Us? Let me redo that. Misa, Ursa say, have you watched... Let me redo that. Have you watched... I'm giving up. Have you watched The Last of Us? I can't do The Last of Us? I can't do that part. So, Jar Jar, we've watched the first episode of The Last of Us. I'm planning on finishing it, but we have a couple of other shows that we're trying to finish before we kind of jump deep into that one. Right now, we're watching the latest season of The Crown. We're almost done with that. We started the latest season of White Lotus, and we're still trying to get through that. So yeah, I enjoyed the first episode of The Last of Us. When will I get to the next episode? I don't know. It could be a couple weeks from now. But eventually, me and my wife are planning on finishing it up. And I only played a few hours of the game, Jar Jar, so I'm not really all that familiar with what the story is or where the story goes. I only had a PlayStation 3 for not too long. I got a PlayStation 3 in 2011, and I mostly bought it for the Blu-ray player when the Star Wars Blu-rays came out in 2011. And but I did get the Last of Us game, but shortly after getting that game, I sold my PlayStation. So I just for whatever reason I didn't play it that much, and I didn't really get into it. But I heard that it's coming to the PC in the not too distant future, so I'll probably pick it up when it does. Anyway, I appreciate that, Jar Jar. Darth Nicholas, thank you so much, Mr. Nick. I see Nick and Jay Owens. Nick says, "Hey HG, it's been a while. Hope all is well. I'm hoping Mando Season 3 doesn't double down on cameos like Mando Season 2 did. But given this is the Mandoverse, I do expect a couple to pop up. Most notably Sabine." I'm with you. We've talked about this before. I love the first season of The Mandalorian. The second, I enjoyed the second season as well, but in my brain, with no matter what project it is, my brain instantly goes to wanting new stuff. I'm not interested in cameos or callbacks. I'm not interested in connections. For whatever reason, that stuff just doesn't interest me. I want my new shows to feature all new characters and not get bogged down in the familiar. When things start to just kind of feed you more of the same, more things that your brain already recognizes, it becomes boring to me. I know a lot of people just eat that shit up. And I get it, we love what we love and we want to see more of it. But, I think differently in those terms because I don't really have any interest in seeing the familiar. I want new. I want new. That's, you know, and maybe that's just me. I'm in the minority when it comes to that opinion. I know, but yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I hope season 3 doesn't just start mulching over things that we are already familiar with. It'll leave me behind if it does. I just and maybe that goes also to the aspect of seeing the Mandalorians again. You know, we've seen their lore. We've heard, you know, we've seen the Civil War. We know we know the history. So the idea of like diving back into that, honestly, it doesn't interest me all that much. I don't. I don't know why I have that mentality. I don't know why that's where my brain goes. But like when I see a familiar face pop up in a movie or something like that, and everybody cheers in the theater, I'm the one who's sitting there like, really? It not all that necessary. Like, just kind of feels like a cheap trick. To me, at least, you know. If you like that stuff, good on you. More power to you. You know, that there's nothing wrong with that. But my brain just is tuned to a different frequency. Not a better frequency, just a different frequency, you know. But yeah. Anyway, Mr. Nick, I appreciate that, man. We'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of expecting it to be on par with season 2 with, you know, the greatest hits, but yeah, I think that's why I love Andor so much. Yeah, we have familiar faces, right? Mon Mothma's in it. But overall, it's just a new, fresh story with new, fresh characters, you know, as a whole. But yeah. Anyway, cheers, man. And Jay Owens, I'm wondering what sort of antagonist or evil-ish force will present itself in season 3. There's only remnants of the Empire, maybe Mandos versus Mandos. That's where I'm kind of guessing things go. Jay Owens, I'm guessing there will be another civil war, if you will. I'm guessing there will be infighting among those who, you know, want to vie for power on trying to define what Mandalore and Mandalorians are. I think it's going to be a lot of trying to fill a power vacuum. I think it's going to be, which could be interesting, right? Would be interesting. But again, we've seen this stuff on Mandalore before. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Unless there's another big bad, I mean, that comes down the pike. From what I gather, and again, trailers take or leave it, take it all with a grain of salt. But what I gather, what I think is going to happen is there is going to be that infighting. There is going to be that you know, people vying for power. These different cultural clashes of what it means to be a Mandalorian. I think that's going to be one of the main storylines, you know. But yeah, Owens, I appreciate that. We shall see. We shall see. I think it will be, Vince. I think it is going to be about the future of Mandalore. And I'm with you. I'm with you. Mr. Nick, once again, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support. Nick says, forget about a second season of the Book of Boba Fett or a Journal of Jango Fett series. Give me the Corpus of Cassis Fett. Corpus of Cassis Fett. What? Corpus of Cassis Fett. Oh, Cassis Fett. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, Nick. So Cassis Fett is from... Did I see Knights of the Old Republic? Is that what it's from? Mentioned only first appearance. Knights of the Old Republic 8. Was he in the video game? Knights of the Old Republic first mentioned. Okay. So yeah, Nick, I don't have a long history with Knights of the Old Republic. The KOTOR comics. Okay. I don't know if I've ever... I know I've never read a Knights of the Old Republic comic. And when it comes to the game, 1 and 2, I owned both Knights of the Old Republic games back in the day, but I barely played them. Like, back when they came out, it was like, what, 2003 and 2005? I didn't play RPGs. I couldn't get into RPGs. I was still playing a lot of Counter-Strike and Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies and a bunch of other games, you know, similar to that. So I am not familiar with Knights of the Old Republic lore, Knights of the Old Republic characters really at all. It's one of the weakest aspects of my Star Wars knowledge. It probably is the weakest aspect of my Star Wars knowledge. So yeah, this is probably, unless I'm not remembering, this is probably the first time I've ever heard of this character, to tell you the truth. Cassis Fett was a Mandalorian field marshal who lived during the time of the Mandalorian Wars. Fett was an aide-de-camp to Mandalore the Ultimate, leader of the Mandalorians. And he was highly influential in areas throughout Mandalorian society. Fett spearheaded the promotion of the Neo-Crusader movement, a sect of Mandalorian society with a more regimented structure and standardized armor than the hitherto dominant Mandalorian Crusaders. Again, this is Mandalorian stuff has always seemed like generic sci-fi to me. By exerting control over the clans and providing a means of converting conquered cultures into Neo-Crusaders, Fett turned the Mandalorians into a war machine intent on galactic conquest. All right, interesting. Are there no... I don't know anything about this era, Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. Were there any novels? I'm sure there were novels, right? I'm going to look this up. Knights of the Old Republic novel. Were there books or was it just comics? Novel series. The Old Republic. The Old Republic novel series. It's like in Star Wars, every prominent character has to have some royal background instead of being a simple peasant. Always been weird to me. Yeah, and every character has to have some kind of connection, right? That's what I found so interesting about Rey's character initially. And you know, in my head canon, she's still a nobody from nowhere. To me, that's way more interesting than her being a Palpatine or related to anybody. I never understood why people like wanted her to be a Kenobi. You know what I mean? Like, it's way more interesting for her to be a nobody from nowhere. No lineage needed, you know? Rise to greatness. Oh, nobody, you know? But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that, Mr. Nick. Vince and Bubba Fett, thank you guys so much for coming in with the final super chats of the stream before I have to jet. Vince says, do you like Irish coffee? It's Wednesday, but I have a cold and I wanted some Irish coffee. Pretty sure you only like black, but come on, Irish coffee. I don't know if I've ever, are you talking about like Bailey's and Irish coffee? Are we talking alcohol? Okay, Irish coffee is a caffeinated alcoholic drink consisting of Irish whiskey, hot coffee, and sugar, which has been stirred and topped with cream. Okay, so I've had whiskey and coffee a lot in my life. I've never heard it put Irish coffee. I've always heard it put as cowboy coffee. I don't even know if it cowboy coffee is that. Okay, well, cowboy, maybe that's just what I've heard it. I first heard about it in the Navy. I've never put sugar in it, but I've had whiskey and hot coffee before. Stirred and topped with cream. It sounds pretty delicious. The coffee is drunk through the cream. Never had it like this. But you have piqued my interest. Bourbon coffee, prob cowboy coffee. Yeah, oh yeah, you're probably right. Okay. Yeah, Jameson and coffee. I'm gonna have to try this, man. I used to get Jameson all the time. Jameson was like my drink of choice for a long time. It was like I'm gonna say like probably 2008, 2009, 2010. This is when I had Jameson was like my go-to. I'm gonna have to try this. Irish whiskey. Okay, here's a recipe. Irish whiskey, Kahlua coffee, whipped cream. Shaved chocolate, optional. All right. I don't have to work this weekend, so I'm going to hit up the liquor store and... yeah. Put it in my coffee mug and walk to the neighborhood park. We were too on topic. I had to derail it for a bit. Oh, I love it. I appreciate it. No, if you got a cold, I'm with you. The past like week, I've had a little stuffy. It's finally starting to go away. I've been pretty stuffed up and like, you know how you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you just feel a trickle down your lip, and you realize that your nose is just it's just open and you're dripping. I've had that and a cough. Everybody at my firehouse has been under the weather, but that's what happens, man. Basically living with two families and getting two different sicknesses. But yeah, I just really, Vince, I just drink my I've never put cream or sugar in my coffee. I've always had it black. I trust me, it is way better with cream and sugar, but I've just never had it. I've just always drank it black. Maybe it's a calorie thing. These days it is, but back in the day, you know, to tell you the truth, when I first started drinking coffee, the whole reason I started drinking it black was like, I don't know, when I started drinking coffee, it probably in like 2005 or so. I was probably 20. The whole reason I drank it black was because I didn't know how many creams, how many sugars. I don't fucking know. None. Like, you know, when you first started drinking coffee, you didn't know. What am I going to say? Do I sound stupid if I say 1? Do I sound stupid if I say 10? But yeah, that indecision, that unknown indecision, just these years later, just always drank it black. Plus being on the boat, you know, on deployment, you didn't really have many options other than to drink basically, you know, old ass stale black coffee. It grew on me. But yeah, anyway, when it comes to I would consider Irish coffee a morning cocktail. When it comes to my morning cocktails, I love Bloody Marys. Like, I love Bloody Marys. I don't even care about the alcohol. I just love the spice of it. I love the tomato juice of it. All the spices involved. I love it. And about a week ago, I poured I bought some dill pickles, and I poured some vodka in a jar, and I put a ton of dill pickles in the jar and let the pickles and the vodka infuse together. And I've been using that vodka for Bloody Marys. And oh my God, it's so good, man. It's great. Oh no, yeah. There was what was the reason I had coffee with cream and sugar not too long ago? Where were we? It was something where it was me and my wife, and we were somewhere, and we ordered coffees, and they put cream and sugar in my coffee. And I don't complain about anything. Whatever. It's not a fucking big deal. You know, I'm not one to go back to the counter. Excuse me. I wanted this coffee black, but you put cream and sugar. And what, they're going to throw this whole order away? I'm not that guy. But I drank it and I was like, yeah. My wife was like, isn't that better than black coffee? And I'm like, yes. Yes, obviously. Sugar cream, and sugar in coffee is better. Obviously it's better. Obviously. it's in the name. It's in the words. It's better. I just can't do it. No, it wasn't Starbucks. I think it was at a hotel, honestly, Nick. We were in Savannah. It might have been in Savannah. I can't remember. It was pretty recently. But anyway. Cheers, man. Bubba Fett, Nick, and Bresh Vic, thank you guys so much. And then I got a jet. Bubba says, too many cameos makes the universe seem smaller. I'm with you. You know, the last thing that I want to see in a story that is so new and fresh, that is just hitting me on all the right notes, and it's doing it without leaning on what we already know. You know, in a story like that, the last thing that I want to see is a familiar face pop in. Hello, I'm so-and-so from this other show. I'm so-and-so from this other show. It instantly makes me go, oh man, you had a really good thing going. You had a really good thing going on your own. Why did you have to involve this familiar face? Like, maybe people clap and cheer at that kind of stuff, and that's fine. But to me, it really takes away from the good thing that this show or movie had going for it, you know. I'm 100% with you there, Bubba. And it does make things feel smaller. And sometimes smaller is fine, you know. Making the universe feel a little smaller. I get it. But overall, there's so many stories and tales and characters and situations to tell that are unique from so many other things in the universe. You just have like an endless supply of interesting things to say and do in this universe. Why do you always have to revert back to the familiar? It takes me out of it. That's what's interesting to me. Like, I really like the aspect of,
Hey,
you know. Oh, one sec.
Been a good long time.
What's up, Grant?
Well, don't think it's a terrible surprise, but I need me some Thrawn and S3 Mando.
Grant, thank you so much, man. It's been a long time. Good to see you, man. Give me one sec. Yeah, one of the aspects something that I really liked about the sequel trilogy, at least The Force Awakens, was, and even The Mandalorian does this well too, you know, just because we see something and we're familiar with something as an audience doesn't mean that the characters inside of the story are going to be familiar with that as well. You know, Rey and Finn thought Luke was a myth. I love that. You know, they had heard of Han Solo. The Mandalorian wasn't familiar really with the Jedi at all. You know, I like that. I like that when our characters are not familiar with things that we as viewers are familiar with. It's interesting. It shows that this universe is so vast, so expansive. There's so much knowledge, so much ignorance. Not everybody is going to know everything about everything, right? I mean, that's kind of the way it is here on planet Earth too, you know? We don't know everything about the happenings around the world, despite something major happening on the other side of the globe in a specific country or city or town that might be of deep importance to that community. You know, us on the other side of the globe never get a whisper of it, never hear about it. You know, I like that approach to the Star Wars galaxy. I like that, you know. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me. They've always had jetpacks. They've always flown. Cool, man. You're missing the motherfucking point. Mr. Nick says, is it just me or is Skeleton Crew my most anticipated project of 2023? Is it coming out in 2023? Yes. I didn't realize it was coming out this year, to tell you the truth, Nick. I'm with you. I'm more excited for Skeleton Crew, not even knowing anything about it. I'm more excited for it than Mandalorian Season 3. And I think it is because we know really nothing about it. I haven't really been following the project. It says Skeleton Crew with Jude Law follows a group of kids who are about 10 years old, who get lost in the Star Wars universe. Just that little description is enough to make my mind wander and wonder with what this show can be. I kind of hope it's a little throwback to like the 80s Stand By Me or Goonies, stuff like that. There's so much potential there for it to be a really fun, adventurous, young movie. There's just so much fun adventure to be had with a crew of kids and a mentor. The potential there for something really special is there. And 1 second clip of Skeleton Crew in a Disney Plus ad. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I don't know if I've seen that then, Nick. I need to check that out. But yeah, I'm with you. It's also the aspect of it. I'm always more excited for things that are a little mysterious and unknown, you know, than projects that kind of have a lot of publicity and a lot of stuff already released. So the mystery of Skeleton Crew is enough to kind of push it to the top of my list in terms of projects that I'm excited for in the not too distant future, you know. Yeah, exactly. Nick says the unfamiliarity of it all gets me super hyped. I am 100% with you. That's a great way to put it. Grant, Skeleton Crew is a show that's coming out this year, apparently. And yeah, as I said, a group of kids who are about 10 years old. It's a live action show. A group of kids who are about 10 years old, and Jude Law is in it as well. And yeah, I'm excited for it, man. Hell yeah. And I appreciate that, Nick. On twofold, I appreciate you bringing it to my attention that it's coming out this year. I was not aware of that. Yeah, I was not aware of that. Has there been any announcement of directors, creators? I've been kind of out of the loop with everything. I haven't really followed much. Created by John Watts and Christopher Ford. John Watts, Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay. Christopher. Yeah, could be fun, man. I hope it is. We shall see. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. Breshvik and Grant, thank you guys so much for the channel sports as well. Breshvik says, loved the Shadows of the Empire video. It really brought back specific memories of being that age in the 90s and the unique feeling of ramp up to more Star Wars. Yeah, that was a really fun video to make. I uploaded a video, like a week ago or so, about the history of Shadows of the Empire. Kind of went into the making of it, some of the background, some of the making of that. Not only the game Shadows of the Empire, but the multimedia release of Shadows of the Empire. Because in the mid 90s, Shadows of the Empire came out, and it was, the novel, the junior novelization as well. It was comic books, it was action figures. You had the game. There were trading cards. It was this big multimedia event. And when it came out, I was 10 years old, and it was just like the perfect age for me to experience that. And it was all, as you said, Breshvik, it was all a big ramp up to the release of the special editions in 1997. And then it was also a big ramp up to the prequels that began in 1999. So yeah, making that video, and I appreciate the kind words there, but making that video was a really fun kind of nostalgia trip, because I was looking at action figures that I had. I was looking at comic books. I was looking at, trading cards that I had. I was watching commercials for toys that I saw. Oh, one sec.
Plus is going quality over quantity, so we will probably see less shows coming out. Do you think this will prolong how long it takes Disney Plus to become profitable?
Monado, thank you so much for the channel support as well. Give me one sec. But yeah, Breshvik, if anybody hasn't watched that video, I uploaded it maybe a week ago or so, and it's a video about Shadows of the Empire. Check it out. It has a pretty long advertisement near the beginning. That was just, I got a sponsorship opportunity, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It's cool. It's related to the channel, Star Wars Encyclopedia stuff. It's pretty rad. I know people are like, oh, it's a 3-minute long advertisement. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's pretty long, but it's a cool product. And, it fits the channel vibe and whatever. It's a sponsored video. So, people have done that before. I don't understand why people get all bent out of shape about it. Fast forward. I have a timer on the ad itself. So like if somebody really wants to, they can skip through it. But yeah. It was a fun video to make, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Cheers. It was the 90s. Hey, dude. I bet you I can sing that entire song. Or not sing it. I can recite it. It's a little wild and a little strange to make a home out on the range. So, maybe I can't. It's a little wild and a little strange to make a home out on the range. So come on, can't get out of Canada. Yippee-ki-yay, what? Yippee-ki-yay. That's what the cowboys say. Get along, little doggy. Yippee-ki-yay. Till the break of day. I hope you run a cacti. Oh man, I thought I was going to be able to completely recite the lyrics to Hey Dude from the early 90s. Nobody in this chat knows what the fuck I'm talking about right now. But Hey Dude was a Nickelodeon show that I believe the first episode premiered in 1989. I believe. I think. I gotta look this up. Hey Dude. Not the shoe. I only heard about Hey Dudes, the shoe, when I was in fire school a couple of years ago. These kids were wearing Hey Dudes, which is a type of shoe. I was like, what did you call those shoes? Oh, I got a pair of Hey Dudes. What? That's what being 36 years old and fire school with a bunch of 18-year-olds. You learn a lot of new things. Hey Dude Show. 1989. Yep, 1989. First episode, 1989. Christine Taylor. Anyway, cheers, man. Grant and Minato, thank you guys so much for the final super chats and channel support. Before I jet. Grant, let me pull it up. There we go. Grant says, "Hey, dude." Well, hey, dude. We're talking about hey, dude. Grant says, "Been a good long time. Hope you're well. Don't think it's terrible surprise, but I need me some Thrawn in season 3 Mando." I wouldn't be well. I don't. Thrawn is definitely going to pop up. At some point in live action. I don't know if it's going to be. I would assume that it's going to be in the Ahsoka show. But with all of these shows being so intertwined and connected, it wouldn't surprise me if we got some Thrawn pop up in season 3 of The Mandalorian. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know if I necessarily, I kind of understand that The Mandalorian has been taken over by the familiar. You know, it's all going to be intertwined with the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka, and all these shows are going to be into one another, deeply into one another. So I don't necessarily know if I want to see him in Mando, Grant. I don't know if he will be. If I had to guess, he probably will be at some point, and then we'll get a heavy dose of him in Ahsoka, you know? But I completely understand why. I'm actually reading a Thrawn book right now, Grant. I'm reading Thrawn Alliances. And he's a fun character, especially when he's put side by side with Vader in that book. They're such different types of leaders. They're such different tacticians that it makes when Thrawn is juxtaposed with Vader, when they're side by side and you see their different personalities and their different strategies and stuff like that, it makes me like the character of Thrawn more. When there's somebody there to kind of like push back against Thrawn, it makes me appreciate that character even more. Because Thrawn by himself, he's like almost all too powerful. Not powers in terms of like, you know, the Force and all that kind of shit. Not like strength and stuff. But he's almost like too smart, you know. He's almost too smart. But when you have another character like Vader or Anakin, like as displayed in that book, it makes me like that character even more, you know. Grant says, let me elaborate. I mean, don't think it's a surprise that it's what I'm after. I've been talking in here about my boy Thrawn for years now, even if it has been sometime since I popped in the chat. Yeah, man. When you sent that super chat, I was like, Grant Guthrie, that is not a name that has come out of my mouth in some time. Yeah, Thrawn's a fun character. And reading this book has made me like his character even more. I'm sure you've read the books. I'd be surprised if you hadn't. But, yeah, I hope the live action Thrawn meets all your expectations. You know, go in with an open mind, I suppose. I know how it can be to like build something up in your brain for so long after loving the character or something like that, and then experiencing it, and maybe it's a little different than what you originally thought it was going to be. And it can be a little, maybe disappointing isn't the right word, but a little jarring. But I hope the first live action Thrawn experience that you have is everything that you've been wanting, man. But yeah, I'm. There has been no mention of who's playing Thrawn, right? I don't think so. But yeah, Grant, you know, screw it. Mandalorian Season 2 already had a ton of familiar faces. We already know what we're in for. All these shows are going to be connected. Why not throw Thrawn in Season 3? Even if it's just a little bit. Why not? Why not? The show's already... It's already been taken over by what we already know, right? It's no longer... Sorry, guys. I'm coughing up a storm here. Let me have some water real quick. Sorry, guys. I thought this cough was going away. Anyway. I appreciate that, Grant. Minato, Darth, and Grant, once again, thank you guys so much. All right, after this, I got a jet for real. Oh.
I just feel he fits in the remnants being the beg of this era. Not the I need familiar, but more of a big scary lad to have the protag's fear then fight against alongside Gideon.
There you go. Yeah. Grant, thank you so much once again. Give me one sec. Minato, Darth, and Grant. And then I really got a jet, guys. I got a big training thing tomorrow. I don't have to go to work, but I do have a lot, like a 9-hour training thing that I got to go to. Minato says with... Golly, sorry, guys. Manano says, with insiders stating that Disney Plus is going quality over quantity, so will we probably see less shows coming out? Oh, so we will probably see less shows coming out. Do you think this will prolong how long it takes Disney Plus to become profitable? Yeah, I only learned that it wasn't profitable not too long ago. I'm not too concerned about it. I think especially Disney Plus or these streaming services, it can be a long game. You know, you have to have, they have so much content on there, but they can't like when we first got Disney Plus, when it first came out, there wasn't all that much that we really wanted to watch. It was a lot of nostalgia. It was a lot of older stuff, but dude, my daughter loves Disney Plus, not because of like The Lion King or Little Mermaid or, you know, things that have been around for a long time, but these new shows that are out, like Super Kitties. They're always releasing these fun, like PJ Masks, these fun animated shows for kids. And I think maybe a lot of people, maybe it's different because I have a young kid, if she's 4 years old. A lot of people just see Disney Plus as a show for their Marvel, a streaming service rather for their Marvel or their Star Wars consumption. But I see Disney Plus more for what my daughter watches, because she watches it all the time. You know, there's so many little shows on there that she loves. There's a stupid show called Super Kitties, and it's about superhero cats. And it's just goofy and fun, and she loves it. And there's so many shows like that. Even Bluey is on there. If you don't have a kid, you may have probably never seen Bluey, but you probably heard about it because it's a phenomenon. So I see Disney Plus more for that stuff, you know. So obviously I don't have a stake in the game. I hope it becomes profitable just because the longevity of it, but I see it as a long game, and I hope I'd be surprised if it eventually didn't become profitable. Quality over quantity is fine. I'm assuming that a lot of like Super Kitties can't be that expensive to produce, right? But something like Andor or something like The Mandalorian is probably super expensive. I'm completely fine with quality over quantity. If it takes longer for a project to come out because of them maybe dialing it back a little bit, I'm fine with that. You know, that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the business. And, you know, the streaming services, while they've been around for a while, not necessarily Disney Plus, but the industry as a whole, they're still learning. You know, they're still trying to figure out the bells and whistles, what works, what doesn't, where the money is. So I would be, it's Disney, man. They're a behemoth. They'll figure it out eventually. You know, Disney Plus isn't going anywhere. These shows aren't going anywhere. Yeah. Anyway, did that make sense? I don't even know if anything that I said made sense. But yeah, anyway. Mr. Nick, thank you so much. Nick says, last super chat, don't know if this was asked earlier in the stream, but did you have a chance to check out the new Jedi Survivor gameplay from IGN? I watched a little bit of it. Granted, it was on my phone. I should have watched it on the TV, my big TV. But it looks fun. It didn't look all that different. Maybe I skimmed through the video. It didn't look all that different than Jedi Fallen Order. I could have been watching a Fallen Order clip. And again, there's probably things that I missed that are new to the game because I didn't watch the entire 9 minutes. Maybe I should. I probably should, right? I should just let the 9 minutes run and talk over it and make that into a video like so many YouTubers do. But no, I haven't. I'll say I've watched a little bit of it. I haven't watched the entirety of it. I'm not really one to watch a lot of video game footage before a video game comes out, Nick. Generally, if there is a game that I know I'm going to play, then I don't really watch a lot of coverage of it just because I know I'm going to play it and I know I'm going to experience. And especially like a sequel like this, I kind of know all what I know. I kind of already know the mechanics of it. I know what it's going to look like and feel like and be like. And once again, I know I'm going to play it. So if there's a game like that I know I'm going to play, I don't watch much of it because I know I'm going to play it. If there's something that I'm just somewhat interested in and I don't know if I'm going to play it or not, then I dive deep into gameplay and just see if it's something that I want to pick up and dump time into, you know. But no, I don't really care to watch a lot of Fallen Order footage just because I'm going to experience the game, you know. But yeah, I'm excited for the game. Yeah, anyway, cheers, man. I appreciate the support this evening. And Grant Guthrie, thank you for coming in with the final super chats of this stream before I got a jet. I need to put my work clothes in the dryer. Cannot forget that. Before I go, remind me, guys, because I will walk downstairs and then wake up in the morning and go, oh shit, all my clothes are wet. Grant says, and an addition that I just feel he fits in the plot of Imperial Remnants being the BBEG. BBEG? Big Bad? BBEG. BBEG. Big Bad Evil Guy. Okay. Big Bad Evil Guy of this era. Not the I need familiar, but more of a big scary lad to have the protagonists fear, then fight against alongside Gideon. Yeah, he would absolutely fit in. No question about it. Imperial Remnants, you have... I can absolutely see him fitting into the Mandalorian and being yet another faction of the splintered empire that's kind of vying for power in this power vacuum, you know. There's no question in my mind that all of these shows are going to coalesce into one, even more than they already have. There's no question in my mind that eventually Thrawn will face Mandalorian. Not maybe not in some kind of crazy combat or whatever, but they will come in contact and be familiar with one another, right? That's just the way that I see the nature of these shows going. But yeah, I'm with you, Grant. Not in the I need the familiar, as you put it, not in the familiarity, not in the familiar faces aspect of it, but him being around, him being it would all make sense because of the factional empire, the splintering of the empire, and him being such a prominent role in the having a prominent role in the empire. He would play a large role in its remnants, in its splintering. He would be a large part of one of the factions that's out there in the galaxy. You know, so it would make sense if he was there, if he played some kind of role. If that role is going to be played in this season, or if it's going to be held for the Ahsoka show, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Dude, you've made me want to go downstairs and fire up my Kindle and continue reading my Thrawn book, which I am going to do after me and my wife watch an episode of something. I'm going to lay my ass down in bed, turn on my Kindle, start reading the book, and then probably get 2 pages in and fall asleep because I'm horrible. Anyway, Grant, I appreciate it. Oh, Grant says, take the concept of multimedia combination villain to tie us all together. That's what I'm after. Give us a super bad to rally against, you know. Oh, I completely get it. I completely get it. And that would be a good... I can see that being... You know, it was... when was that? Was that in The Mandalorian or was that in the Book of Boba Fett? I think it was in The Mandalorian, right? When somebody mentioned Thrawn to Ahsoka. Was it in The Mandalorian? So it's been teased. And as I said, I can see all these shows kind of coming together and coalescing into one. And that would be a good big bad. That would be a good big bad to kind of have, as you said, everybody rally against, you know. I can see that's the direction. I can absolutely see the direction that this is going if that's if that's what's going to happen. All roads could lead to that very easily. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I got a jet. Grant, I really appreciate the support. It's good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. All right, guys. Grant, Nick, Minato, Brushvik, Bubba Fett, Vince, Jay Owens, Jar Jar Binks, Maxton, Sapity, Nathan, Oscar, Caleb, Lachlan, Oscar, Swish. Guys, I appreciate the hell out of the super chats tonight. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world. I'm going to be doing a lot of Mandalorian content when the show comes up. I'm going to be doing a lot of Mandalorian content. I'm going to be doing a lot of streams, a lot of videos. You are going to see more of me in the next couple months than you've seen from me in the past 5 years. I'm planning on hitting it hard. Doing a lot of Mando coverage. And I hope you'll be along for the ride. All right, cool. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your morning, your afternoon, your evening, wherever you are on planet Earth. And I will catch you all on the flip side. See ya.